And welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new here, and then just welcome. My name is Rusty. This is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal, as you can tell. And welcome back to this little block of films that I wanted to highlight that I lovely enjoyed. And we went from indie torture porn to supernatural serial killer possession to a silly comedy horror slasher. Camp slasher. This is hell of a summer. And it's a hell of a movie. And I had a hell of a good time. And I promise not to do any more hell of a dumb puns. But it was still hell of a good time. But yes, this is hell of a summer. It was released in 2023, and it was directed by Billy Bryk and Finn Wolfhard, and written by Billy Bryk and Finn Wolfhard. And don't they star in it too? Isn't that Chris and Bobby? I think so. Yeah. And it stars Adam Pally. Oh yeah, that's right. International Movie Database did that thing again, where it put characters that were in it for 3 minutes as the stars, and you're like, they were in it for 3 minutes. It actually stars Fred Hechinger, Billy Bryk, and Finn Wolfhard, with Fred being the main star because he's Jason. Was that a pun? I didn't realize that. It's a camp slasher, and they made him the goofiest dipshit in the whole thing, and his name is Jason. I didn't even think of that until I said that just then. That was okay. That makes sense. That was a little inside joke that I didn't even get until right now. That's funny. But anyway, so this movie opens with John and Kathy at the lake, who they have listed as the stars of the movie. So we have this character of John and Kathy at the lake. They're awaiting the arrival of their camp counselors. They run a summer camp on the lake. And so they're sitting there. They know their counselors will be arriving tomorrow. And they're drinking and having fun on the beach. And they get... God, that dude's guitar playing was awful. But... So they joke around, and she goes to get more beer. She comes back, and he's got, the guitar is, down his throat, which, considering the playing, kind of ironically appropriate. So she screams and takes off running and gets in the car. And that was a good scene, because when she's in the car and she turns on the lights, right, she made it to the car, she turned on the lights, she got the key in there, and when she turned on the headlights, she's like, oh, and you're like, what is it? I don't see nothing. What is it highlighting? Because you keep expecting, to see, the killer or the slasher or something out there, and then they focus in on her face again, and she's just, staring out there at the thing, and you're like, I keep waiting to get jump scared for something to jump out, right? And instead, you hear a noise and something's creeping behind her, and it's like the devil mask, and it kind of pulls her shoulder, and she falls. That's the reason that she went, is because a big knife, butcher knife, went through the back of her head. And I was like, that was very well done. That was very well done. And I think it really set up how fun this movie is. Was that kill was pretty intriguing. That was cool. So the next day you see Jason showing up. His mother is giving him a ride, and he's all goo-goo-eyed and stuff. And he is obviously a complete camp nerd, summer camp nerd. And his mom is bitching at him about, you're 24 years old, you've been coming to camp since you were 10 or whatever, and it's every year this is all you look forward to is coming to camp. You're 24 and still coming to summer camp every year. So she's like nagging him and stuff, and you totally understand. And he's a very likable character, but I mean, of course, I'd have to hold him down and shave that fashion victim beard off his face. It's stupid shit. But he's a fun character. He's a fun guy. Dumb as a rock, but that's part of his charm. Stupidity can be part of your charm if you didn't know. You know, if you happen to be a stupid person out there, you know, you can still be charming. It can be part of your psychiatric cabaret, is being a dumbass. It can be endearing. And his stupidity was kind of endearing. So all the other counselors start arriving. You know, you have Chris and Bobby and Ezra is one, Ari is another, Demi, Claire, see if I wrote any more down. But yeah, so there's a bunch of them. What is there, like 9 or 10? It's a healthy little group, a healthy little slasher death group. So I appreciated that. You know, whenever you go into a horror movie, especially a slasher, the number of the main group can signify how many kills you're going to get to see sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You can judge it a little by that. If you're stuck in a camp cabin with 3 people, you might have a visitor or 2, but, you know, there's not going to be a lot of kills. So sometimes that can be factored into your expectations, is how many the group is. So there was a fairly large group of counselors, and they spent enough appropriate time to kind of get to know each one of them. Shannon, she was one. So you get to know a little bit about them. So it's not too many that there's no character development, but there's enough that still allows them to do enough character development on each one of them to at least give you something to work with about how you're going to feel about them. And I think this movie did that pretty well. Bobby annoyed the fuck out of me, I know that. But also he was endearing as well. They were all very endearing, weren't they? They were all, even the vegan girl was like, they were so different. I like that too. All of the characters were different. So all of these people show up, they settle in. The comedy is really funny in this movie. It's not like overly done. It's done in a way that your eyes will be tired by the end of the movie from rolling so much. You know? You know, so that was fun. So you get a good chunk of the movie where you're knowing that, and then of course the shit starts. You know, the first kill is supposedly Demi, right? And Mike was another one that was one of the counselors. So Demi gets killed, allegedly, and other people start being knocked off. The vegan girl gets knocked off, and as the body count rises with all of these people, when Jason finally figures that, you know, he's the one that finds Demi's body, but then when he brings them all back, because of course nobody believes him, but when they bring them all back, her body's gone, but everything still looks like a bloodbath. Wasn't there a Chloe too? She was the Ouija board girl. So you have all of these people trying all of these different things. Ezra was pretty funny when he manages to convince everybody that Jason is the killer. And that was real funny because they like tied him up and wanted to torture him. The way they talked about torturing him, especially that Shannon girl, the way she talked about, you know, we're going to torture you until you tell us the truth, and they think everything is cool. And I'm thinking of the funny scenes, like when Ezra, because, you know, Jason, they have to like choose cards as to who's going to go, and that's how they find the vegan girl's head in the refrigerator, and they all like split up, and Jason makes it back, and that's when Ezra convinced them that he was the killer, because where is Scott and where is Bobby? Right. So, or was it Ari that did that? I don't know. Just bear with me. But when one of them did come back, he got sprayed. His face got pepper sprayed with pepper. That was Ezra, right? Yeah. And it was after then that he convinced everyone that Jason was the killer. So through this whole thing, you're like having I was having a lot of fun with these different characters and how they were doing things, and the kills were good. And Claire was an interesting character because I think she kind of liked Jason, but nobody else, did in that way. And Bobby was always like bitching about. I think the funniest aspect of him was when somebody said they were knocking off all of the hottest counselors. So he spent like the whole rest of the movie being extremely upset that he had not been killed yet, because they were killing the hot counselors. So he took that as an offense that, and he even said, and that's how Jason got away, was they left him alone with Jason. And that's what he was bitching about. He was like laying back on the couch, like going, I don't understand what's wrong with me. Why don't you think I'm hot? It's just like, I don't know who's going to live. I'm not sure if anyone deserves to live of this group. I think the gene pool would appreciate it if all of them were gone. But that's for a different discussion. So I think that was the funniest thing about him, was how he was so upset that he had not been killed and that these other people were cuter than him or hotter than him because they had gotten killed, but he had not. So he took offense to that. That's the kind of comedy that's in this movie. It's dark and ridiculous, but well played and really good. Really good. How did they find out who it was? Because, of course, I was wondering who it was when they killed Chloe. That was funny. It's not supposed to be funny. It was gross, but it was funny. Did you notice, I'm talking to you like you've already seen it, but did you notice, like, when the devil, because the killer wears a devil mask, when the devil was in her room and killed her, she said, finally. And I thought, she was she was the Ouija girl. She was always talking to the dead and stuff like that. So when they like gutted her, rather than being upset, she was like, oh, finally. And it's like, what, she finally gets to be dead? I'm like, this is not talk to me. Okay. But she was obviously anxious to get to the other side, if you know what I'm saying. But she did say that, though. She said, finally. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? But then the first twist came because the devil like looked over there and heard a noise, and another devil looked around the corner at him and looked at her, and they looked at each other. And I was like, there's two of them? So they're going to try to pull a Scream shit on this as well? How meta can you get? Right? So now there's two of them, and it was like really freaky. Wasn't it Bobby that found it out because Bobby walked in? Bobby, or was it Jason? I can't remember. I just watched all these movies last night. I can't believe it. But he walked in on Mike and Demi in the middle of getting ready for sex. And you're like, but I thought they were dead. Right? And that's when it all came out. The twist of this movie. That Demi and Mike are the killers. And the reason they are the killers is because she is an influencer on social media. So she doesn't want to be a nobody. And so she's decided that if she can't be a famous influencer, that she can become more famous by being a serial killer and killing a whole bunch of people. But since they blamed it on Jay, they sort of like, Mike is like, he re-evaluates the situation. And instead tells her, we could be just as famous though if we survived the camp massacre as we would if we were the people who did the camp massacre. So she accepts that under the understanding, though, that they can't get away with that unless they kill everybody else. So they set about doing that. And then you got Ezra's kill was really gory and gross. Ari's kill, who like bitched the whole movie about being allergic to nuts and how discriminated he was against by having a nut allergy. Like when he screamed at the girl for opening the granola bar, and she's like, I'm 30 feet away from you. And he's like, yeah, but it just shows your insensitivity. She's like, it doesn't even have nuts in it. It's a nut-free granola bar. And he's like, but it's the principle of the thing. And I'm like, all these people. His death was, I thought the guy was going to cut his throat, but instead he went over there and like dipped it in peanut butter, and I'm like, oh my God. Well, that's going to be an ugly death then, Rock. If you've got a severe nut allergy and somebody shoves peanut butter down your throat, you're in trouble. It's not going to be a pretty death at that. So that's how he was killed. And they finally get Jay, like Demi gets Jay, and that was a pretty good scene as well, because she has him tied up and she's just like basically telling him what they did, why they did it, and how she's going to be famous, and how she was the mastermind of all of it, because he suggested that it wasn't her, that you must just be under Mike's influence. That really pissed her off, right? Because she's like, I'm the one with the balls in this relationship. This is my movie, not his. You think a girl can't do shit like this. And so that was a funny little speech, about how offended she was at him telling her that she must be under the influence of a man. And she like, no, it's the other way around, which is the truth. If you watch true crime, it usually is the other way around. Chicks are psycho. That's all I got to say. I'm glad I bat for the other side. Leave me alone. But that was a very interesting scene because him and Claire, when they had gotten away initially, he felt so guilty he had to come back. And she supposedly went on, but then she got so guilty she came back. Thankfully for him. Because right as Demi is going to kill him, she busts through the door with the bow. And then they had this cool exchange, and then she put that bow right through her skull. And she was a shitty bowman at first. So she had obviously been practicing, I think, to impress him. So now that they've gotten rid of him, you've got Bobby and Mike in the other showdown, which was really good as well. I totally didn't get... That was funny, though, when he's like, you've got a boner. Why do you have a boner? Because, he was killing him. Like, Mike was strangling Bobby to death, and Bobby noticed he had a boner. Why do you have a boner? And that was an uncomfortable scene. That was an uncomfortable little exchange there between them. But he actually ended up managing to win by stabbing him in the neck with the camp counselor of the year pocket knife that had fallen off the wall. And then, of course, the entire main building was on fire. Mike was dead. Demi is dead. Claire and him, Jason, I say him because his picture's right there, they end up like going back, and Jason runs in and saves him. And that's a pretty funny scene. And it ends with, I don't know, I didn't even pay attention to the cheesy fucking heteros live happy forever at the lake thing. I was through with the movie by that point. All the good shit had happened. But then the movie went off after he promised that he would do something else with his life now. So, yeah, that's basically a bunch of little jump arounds in this movie. Let me know what you thought about it. I think it's a great camp slasher that mixed comedy into the horror in some very eye-rolling and funny ways. So it definitely goes on my camp slasher list. I really liked it, even though it's like more towards the... In other words, it's not a serious camp slasher like Sleepaway Camp or Friday the 13th or, The Burning or anything like that. But it is good to move it like under the horror comedy section. What is like Ted Tucker and Dell? Ducker and Dell? Dyslexia is really cool. But yes, yeah, that's what I would put it with. I would put it with Tucker and Dell. It's that kind of slasher, and it was really fun. It was really fun that they kept the comedy in while kept all the blood and some really cool kill scenes, a nice twist, good characters, good character development. It was funny. It was gross. It did have some jump scares that got me. So, yeah, I liked it. Hell of a summer. It's a hell of a little slasher. I'm going to stop now. So, let me know what you think about it. Do you think it's pretty cool? And I will see you in the next thing I do. Always remember and never forget, you are a very special person, no matter what anybody says to you. And I will see you in the next one. Have a hell of a good day or evening. I appreciate your time and effort, and you are one hell of a person.